slideshow now?
Yep, we can see the slideshow, and it is saying that it's being recorded as well.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Did you want to go straight into it, or do you want to do an intro, or shall I just go straight in?
I can do an intro, Scott. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, so Scott, thank you very much for hosting this for Danfoss. And Scott's going to be presenting all our benefits for Canada Life. Scott, I'll leave you to move forwards with that.
Okay, no worries. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's great that you've managed to spare the time and see such a good turnout. As Saida said, I'm Scott. I work for Canada Life Group Insurance, and I work closely with the Danfoss team and the guys at Willis Towers Watson, who are the intermediary to help deliver the employee benefits we're going to talk through today. So we're going to talk through a number of benefits, and also, really importantly, talk you through some of the associated support services that come with those benefits, such as We Care and My Strength, and how you access those services and how they can be really valuable and impactful, hopefully, in terms of you and your family's life, in terms of providing virtual health support. So I'll take you through those. But before we get started, I just want to give you a little bit of background about Canada Life as an organisation, as some of you may have heard of us, some maybe not. So we've been in what we would call the group insurance market for over 50 years now. And when I say group insurance, that's offering employee benefits such as life assurance, income protection, critical illness, etc., to organisations such as yourself. And over that period of time, we've grown to be one of the largest of those providers. And I guess for me, when you look at the measures on the screen, the most important one that I always look to is how many people we look after through our benefits. So as you can see, it's over 2.8 million employees. So people like yourselves who work for Danfoss and other organisations. And we do that through nearly 27,000 employers. So again, employers like Danfoss. And I guess what we're in the business for is to be able to look after people and their families. They're really important benefits. These group risk employer provided benefits. And it's great if you work for an organisation like Danfoss that provide a full suite of those benefits. But as you can see, we pay out over £500 million of claims every year. And if you imagine those individuals, whether that's a life assurance claim, a critical illness claim, income protection claim, etc., they're going through a pretty stressful period in their life, and their families are. So to be able to help support individuals and families through those periods of time of acute stress, it's really important to me and really important to Canada Life as an organisation. So I'm going to talk you through those benefits that you've got in place today, but equally, of course, the insurance is a massively important aspect of the benefits we're going to talk about, but we want to be able to add some value to that policy and that policy life cycle outside of the point of claim process. So to give you some value on a day-to-day basis, which is why I'm going to cover off the associated support services as well. So the first benefit we're going to talk through today is critical illness. So just a bit of background, it's a relatively young employee benefit. It was actually born in South Africa in the early 1980s, and it was actually launched in the UK in the early 90s, in 1991, in fact. And it's had a few different names over that period of time, which you may have seen over the years. And we finally landed on critical illness, but they had names like trauma insurance and serious illness insurance, etc. And actually, it was a surgeon called Dr. Marius Bernard, and he was involved in very early transplant surgery. And he had the foresight to see the need for a product that actually provided what we'd call a living benefit. So to help an individual and their families with time off work for things like rehab, amendments to their home, etc., depending on what their illness was. And I guess the key point here, unfortunately, that we've had a significant advancement in medical care over the last 20, 25 years, which means more and more individuals are surviving serious illnesses, which is great. And critical illness gives a financial safety net during that recovery period, and it helps fund some of those changes. So if you needed to make any amendments to your home, etc., but also if you needed some treatment, or if you wanted to, I guess, depending on what the illness is, have some quality time with your family. So life assurance, of course, allows your dependents to cope financially if you are to pass away, but critical illness allows you to cope financially if you are to survive. So just against the nuts and bolts of the policy. So it's a tax-free lump sum which is payable upon survival of 14 days from the date of diagnosis from one of those critical illnesses. We can pay for an unrelated second illness, and we can also pay a claim for a child and one for a spouse as well. And it is a really, really popular employee benefit. So it's the fastest growing area within all our products and across the group risk market generally. But for us, at Canada Life has been a 40% increase in these policies over the last 9 years. And in terms of a flexible benefit, where the individual is exercising that choice in terms of how much benefit they're selecting, 2/3 of that critical illness portfolio is exercised through such a choice like we're talking about today. So fortunately, we've looked after your scheme since 2021. 64 employees have taken the cover out and 20 employees have taken cover out on behalf of their partner. So I guess the benefits are reasonably straightforward. So as we've covered, they will give you financial security, not just for you, but also for your family, as we said, at what would clearly be a very difficult time. Some of the aspects of having a policy for your employer rather than an individual policy, because a lot of individuals would have taken out a critical illness policy against a mortgage, for example. But there's very little medical underwriting on one that's provided for your employer like this one, if any. And then you'll hopefully see when you go onto the platform that the cost of these group insured employee benefits is far cheaper than an individual policy. So relatively inexpensive. So when you go into the platform, hopefully you'll see that. And that's because we can leverage our costs across those 2.8 million employees across our book of business. So we can be reasonably aggressive with our pricing. And also, I think just to note, clearly cheaper to have this policy for your employer. No medical underwriting or little, if any. But also you've got to note that this wouldn't be portable. So obviously an individual critical illness policy you would move around with you and your job. But one that you take out with Danfoss wouldn't move with you if you were to ever leave Danfoss. So that's worth bearing in mind. And also individual policies tend to have more illnesses covered. So some of them have over 100, whereas this one has around 38 to 40 illnesses depending on selections. But what I would say, as I'll cover this shortly, is that at best part of 80% of all our claims come from 3 illnesses, which are cancer, heart attack and stroke, and cancer making up almost 2/3 of all our claims. As I alluded to at the start of the presentation, I'll cover these off. We also provide some support services through these policies at no additional cost. So what we're really trying to do is give you some value throughout that policy life cycle, not just at that point of claim. And sign up should be nice and easy, and it's done through your employee benefits platform when that window is open, if it isn't already. In terms of the policy itself, it's available for both you and your partner. You can cover yourself up to £500,000. You can cover your partner up to £250,000, and they're in steps of £10,000. So when you go into the platform, you'll see that those steps should be covered in chunks of £10,000 in terms of that monthly cost. Hopefully most of the demographic age-wise are covered into 16 to 69. And importantly as well, that children are automatically covered under the policy for 25% of your benefit up to a maximum of £25,000 if you select the benefit for yourself. So that's a really important addition to the policy. I always get asked, what is the definition of a partner if you are selecting on behalf of a partner as well? So that would be a legal spouse or civil partner. If it isn't either of those two definitions, and it's a person cohabiting with the employee, so i.e. you, and that individual should have done so for at least 6 months prior to joining the scheme. And that individual should also be financially dependent or interdependent on the employee. So again, i.e. yourself. In terms of selections, if when you first join, within 3 months of joining, you can select as much benefit as you wish up to the maximum for both you and your partner, or if this is your first annual renewal date, so if this is the first time you've had the opportunity in it's your first selection window, you can select any number of steps up to the maximum amount. That's subject to something called the pre-existing condition exclusion in respect of all benefits. So I talked about no medical underwriting, but we do have a pre-existing condition and related condition exclusions, and I'll cover those off later. But there's more detail in a member guide you can check out in your own time. So you can also select any number of steps of partner being included for the first time as well, but that pre-existing condition exclusion applies there as well. If this isn't your first opportunity, so if it's a subsequent selection window, you can increase by up to £100,000 at the flex anniversary, so i.e. now, or a life event, subject to a maximum of £100,000 in any policy year. So for example, if you'd selected 100,000 last year, you could increase that to £200,000 this year if you so wished. But those, again, pre-existing condition exclusions apply to any increases in benefit as well. I said about costs. So an example cost for a 40-year-old employee and partner for £10,000 of benefit is £25.92 per annum. So again, hopefully you can see it's relatively inexpensive. In terms of the illnesses covered, there are 12 what we call core illnesses on the screen, but Danfoss have opted to add in the additional illnesses. So there's a number of other illnesses that are covered in there as well. And I talked a little bit earlier about a member web guide. So there'll be a member web guide, which you should be able to see on the platform. And that document's a really, really important document. So it helps you make an informed choice, and it explains all our pre-existing condition exclusions and related conditions by each illness that we cover and their impact on claiming and their potential impact on making a claim. So it's really important that you check out that member guide before making a choice in terms of benefit selection. So I'm not a medical expert, but what I can tell you is in terms of our claims experience, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, that cancer makes up 63% of our claims, heart attack 9%, and 6% stroke. So you'd have to have a think about, if you'd had one of those conditions before, whether this is the right benefit for you. Of course, there's another 37, 38 illnesses that you would be covered for if you were to take out the policy. But yeah, it's better to be informed on these things because the communication of these benefits are really, really important. If you had any questions around any illnesses that you'd had and the potential impact on claiming, there is an email address within that member guide. So it's CIClaims, one word, at canadalife.co.uk, and that would get you in touch directly with a claims assessor at Canada Life. So the individuals actually assess our claims on a daily basis. So you'll be able to ask any questions, and they'll be happy to get back to you. So I would very much encourage that level of contact if you do have any questions around pre-existing conditions. So now moving on to the support service. So again, trying to add a little bit of value to the policy outside of making the claim. So the first support services is something called our second medical opinion. That's provided by a company called Best Doctors. And we've been with this organisation now for the best part of 20 years. And what this will give you and members of your family is access to over 50,000 of the world's leading specialists in any condition. And when I say any condition, that's clinical conditions, not mental health. And Best Doctors call this giving you access to the doctor's choice of doctor, and they call it that because these individuals on the database, they're virtually peer nominated every 2 years, and the top 5% through that via virtual peer nomination process will end up on the database. So just as an example, if we were all cardiologists on the call today, we'd be asked who we would be happy to operate on ourselves or on a member of our family or treat a member of our family. And the top 5% through that virtual peer nomination process would make it onto that database. So you can see it really is the doctor's choice of doctor. It's global. It's not just restricted to the UK. And it gives you and your family access to that to a leading consultant in the world in any clinical condition. When you call the service, you get directly through to a GP, and they'll help you decide which service is required. The most popular one and comprehensive one is something called the interconsultation. So this is where Best Doctors will collate all your medical papers, so any treatment plans, a diagnosis, any scans, test results, etc. And they'll have that reviewed by a leading specialist in that particular area of medicine, and then you'll get a full report in terms of the diagnosis and any potential changes in treatment recommended by that consultant. So again, just to give you a working example, for a cancer second medical opinion, it isn't just a consultant checking with a colleague around that treatment plan and a diagnosis. What Best Doctors do is they'll take the original biopsy and they'll have that sent to their headquarters, which is based in Madrid, and they will actually put that biopsy back under the microscope and review the pathology, and then you'll get a report either confirming the diagnosis or maybe a tweak in that treatment plan. Now, there's over 90 subcategories of cancer, and the Best Doctors database will have a leading expert in each of those subcategories of cancer. So yeah, in terms of, the vast majority of time that diagnosis will be confirmed, but if that was me or a member of my family, to have that peace of mind that the leading consultant in that particular category of cancer had reviewed my treatment plan and diagnosis, I don't think you can put a price on that. Of course, we've jumped to serious conditions, which we do, but it's also used for everyday conditions such as, so people use it for asthma, eczema, migraines, musculoskeletal conditions, etc. And the data bears that out. So it is a gold standard cancer second medical opinion service, but only 5% of our referrals have been for cancer over the years. We've been partnered with Best Doctors whereas 23% are for musculoskeletal conditions. So yeah, you get the very best cancer, second medical opinion, but it's also for everyday use too, which is again really reassuring if you have a family or a young family. There's also a service called Find Best Doctor, and it does what it says. So it helps you and your family find the best doctor in your area for certain conditions. So again, it's a really useful service when you try to find the best treatment pathways for and the reassurance for you or a member of your family. Accessing the service is really simple. There's a couple of ways you can access it. I'll talk about WeCare later, but it's wrapped up in the WeCare app. But if you don't have the WeCare app, you can just call. You can sign up through the website, and if you do that, you'll get access to a doctor online symptom checker and a full resource and video library as well. And also, it's really important to know you don't need to be making a critical illness claim to use this service. It's there for you to use at any time for you and your family if you've selected the critical illness policy. So again, I'd say it's a great standalone employee benefit in its own right. The second support service you'd have access to if you select the critical illness benefit is the personal nurse service, and this is provided by a company called Red Arc. So this would be a service you'd be using if you were making a claim. So these guys, they give you and your family long-term emotional support coming to terms with that medical news on the back of a diagnosis. So it's not just available for you, but also members of your immediate family as well. So we sometimes find that family members struggle to cope with that diagnosis even more so than the individuals who've actually been diagnosed. So it's open to family members too. The service help you and your family make sense of the test results, any medical jargon you need to work through, which is difficult at the best of times, and help you decide the best course of action. You get a call directly from a nurse within 48 hours of ticking the claim form should you need to make a claim. And that support's there as often and for as long as you need it. So we've got some cases where people are supported for days, weeks and months. Others, we've got a couple of cases where people continue to be supported for a number of years. So it's there for as long as you need it. Accessing the service is really easy. Should you need to make a claim, it's on page 7 of the claim form. You'll need to tick a box that you'll be happy for the personal nurse advisor to be in touch, and the personal nurse will be in touch within a couple of working days. Again, if you need to know more about it, it should be on the platform, and there's a website link there. We often get asked if you get charged for these services. The answer is absolutely not. They're completely free for you and your family to use. If you selected the critical illness benefit with us, you've got access to it. And we also get asked if these services are confidential, and categorically the answer to that is yes. We only share anonymous usage stats back with your employer, so there's no data privacy issues there to be concerned about. Okay, so that's critical illness. Moving on to life assurance, and also I'm going to cover off a brand new employee benefits available to you this year, which is spouse partner life assurance, which is closely linked. So life assurance is a lot more straightforward than critical illness, but it's often a question as a family or a household, have we got it in the first place? Clearly you do have. You've got the ability to flex up. You've also got the ability now to select up to £250,000 on behalf of a partner. So have you got it in the house? Yes. Do you have enough of it? Does your partner have it? Do you have enough for peace of mind, etc.? So you've got that ability to exercise some choice around life assurance as well. And there are some support services associated with life assurance too, which I'll cover off shortly. Again, clearly financial security is the big benefit of having this and not having to worry about your family should you pass away and what will be clearly a difficult time for them. This is why these benefits are so important, because if you think about the impact that would have on somebody's life if you've lost a loved one, and to be able to not have to worry about paying the mortgage, etc., because you're getting paid a multiple lump sum to help on the back of that death event. Those are really important services and benefits. Again, as with critical illness, there's very little medical underwriting in most cases. There are also some support services available under this policy, such as bereavement counselling and a probate helpline as well. Really simple sign-up process. Again, you've got some core level of benefit for the life assurance, but you can also flex up, and I'll cover that off shortly. And we, as you'd expect, we really pride ourselves on paying claims really quickly and sensitively, given what a difficult time that would be for your family should you pass away. So Danfoss provide a core level of benefit, and that'll be a multiple of salary. And you can elect to top that up in flex steps of 1 times your salary on the platform, and that's subject to a maximum of 12 times. So the core level funded by Danfoss, the flex steps funded by you through the platform and payroll. At the window, you can elect to increase your benefit by a maximum of 2 times salary, or at a minor life event, which I'll cover later, or 4 times salary, a major life event, up to a maximum of 8 times in one policy year. And you have to be actively at work, so some actively at work conditions apply to any increase. And that cover is available from ages 16 to 74. Again, in terms of the first time in making a flexible choice, if it's within 3 months of joining, you go up to the maximum number of steps. Any subsequent increases, you can do 2 steps at the flex anniversary, or that minor life event, or 4 steps at a major life event, as I said, up to maximum 8 times in the policy year. And again, in terms of cost, 40-year-old employee to select £10,000 of benefit would cost just short of £7 per annum. Life events for increases in benefits is gainer dependent or loser dependent. Any significant change in financial circumstances, so over 10% in salary or working hours, or moving to a new permanent home, etc. A major life event is for reductions only is moving to statutory pay or zero pay. So just check out the platform in terms of the life events. You can reduce your benefit if you so wish by any number of steps at the flex anniversary or life event, but that's subject to a minimum of 1 times your salary. Now, the new employee benefit that's available this year is something called Partner Life Assurance. By answering a few online questions on behalf of your partner, you get an instant decision on coverage, and you can select up to £250,000 on behalf of your partner in this window. Again, in terms of the benefit design and the partner definition, it's the same definition as the critical illness partner definition, so just to bear that in mind. It's a very simple benefit design. It's £25,000 steps up to a maximum of £250,000 for your partner, and the demographic is age 16 to 74. And the selection rules are the same irrespective of if it's your first opportunity, which it clearly is, so you can select up to the maximum, but there's no restrictions on next year or life events. If you were to go £100,000 this year, you could go up to 250 in the next increase window as well. So in terms of cost, a 40-year-old partner selecting £25,000 of benefit, it would cost £1.69 a month. So a relatively cost-effective way of increasing the level of cover in your household. Sign-up process, really simple, and as I said, it's instant. The online questions are hosted on the employee benefits platform, the health questions. I believe there are 4 questions, and if you answer no to all of them, we'll provide instant confirmation of the cover for your partner. We've also added a step into the process on where we will write to your partner to let them know in case they didn't know that life assurance had been taken out on their behalf. Some support services I alluded to earlier for both life assurance and spouse partner life aligned closely to the policy. So the first one being the bereavement counselling, giving you and your family 24/7 access to a bereavement counselling helpline, telephone based with a qualified bereavement counsellor. And you can also use this service. It's not just for your family to use. Should you pass away, you can use this service if you suffer a bereavement at any point in your life as well. And as I said, you get access to a qualified, what they would call a life event counsellor, and they'll give you practical advice on a number of areas, examples being self-help, relevant charities, any other support groups that might be able to help you through a difficult time. So it's really nice and easy to access. You can phone that number, tell them you work for Danfoss, and they'll be able to support you. Also, when I come on to WeCare at the end of the presentation, you can also access the bereavement counselling through the WeCare app as well. Second support service available is what we'd call the probate helpline. So it can be complicated when it comes to matters of estate management if you've been charged with that upon the death of a loved one. Issues such as tax, IHT, wills, powers of attorney, etc. It can be a bit of a minefield. So this service gives you access to a qualified expert who will support your family should you pass away. And again, it doesn't have to be for your family should you pass away. You can use this at any point as well to help you personally manage these matters. So just to be mindful, a lot of people assume it's just for family to use on the death of the employee, but it isn't. So again, we're just trying to add, it's a very straightforward policy, life assurance and spouse partner life assurance, but again, just trying to add a little bit of value to the policy throughout that policy life cycle. Probate helplines open Monday to Friday, 8 AM to 8 PM. And again, you just have to tell them you're working for Danfoss, and they'll be happy to support you. Again, same questions as before, completely free for you to use, bereavement and probate helpline. And as covered in the previous slide, again, completely confidential, only anonymous stats shared back with your employer. Now, just to close the presentation, I'm just going to cover off WeCare, which is a virtual health support service, which is available to all Danfoss employees under the group life policy, as well as your immediate family, and also for children as well, up to the age of 18 or 21 if they're full-time education. And again, if you've got any parents that live with you, they can access the service as well. So this is aligned to the group life policy. I'll cover off at the end. There are a couple of elements to the WeCare service that are available if you've selected critical illness, and I'll cover those off as well. But I'll start with what's available through for the group life policy. and then we'll move on to the additional services if you selected critical illness. So Week 8 offers a number of virtual touch points for you and your family, so you can access all this from your own home. I don't know if anybody could press mute all, that would be helpful, please. I'm getting a bit of feedback. That'd be great.
But I think you mute yourself, I guess.
You're also muted now.
Yep. Scott?
Scott, can you hear us?
I'm assuming that I was muted for briefly there as well then.
You
Yeah.
were.
You can hear me, you can hear me again now, yeah?
Yeah, so
Yes,
that
all
makes
good.
sense.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. We split the Week Care service into 4 key areas. So clinical health, mental health, wellbeing and healthy living, as well as financial and legal. So I'll just go into each of those aspects of the service. So there's a virtual GP. You and your family get 24/7 access. It's uncapped, so you don't have to make that decision on whether you should use it or shouldn't, or save it for a member of your family. You can use it as many times as you like. There's no limit. It's open 24/7, so Christmas Day, New Year's Day, etc. So again, none of this 9 till 6 p.m. You can access at any time, and there's no limit on the number of times you or your eligible family members can use the service. You can get same-day appointments. There's no time limit on those telephone consultations. You can get a video consultation if you so wish, and that's up to 30 minutes. So if you compare that to what you would get with your GP in a local surgery, then that's quite extensive in terms of the telephone call being unlimited and 30 minutes of video. A husband, wife, partner, children under the age of 21 and in full-time education, as I mentioned, and all living in the same household can access the service, as well as parents if they're living with you as well. All the GPs are UK registered, so there's no AI or chat bots involved here. All UK registered with the GMC. So again, really patient safety and professional standards paramount to We Care and Teladoc who provide the service. It's all free to use. The only thing you'd have to pay for is any private prescription costs. Delivery is free as well. And there's also a really successful smoking cessation program as well, which has got consultations and guidance to help you quit smoking. And 40% of participants are successful in that after using the program. So it's a really great support service. Again, use it as many times as you want. There's mental health support as well, again, all access via the app. So it's psychologist led and it's up to 10 sessions per issue per family member. So the structured support focuses on what we would call mild to moderate conditions, which are always identified via an intake assessment process, which is a series of psychometric questions, and it's usually called a Core 10 assessment. And then each assessment produces a score that allows the team at Teladoc to establish the symptomology of that individual. And then the service offers a diverse, what they call a clinical delivery model that brings the right professionals to each patient therapy, depending on how that symptomology bears out through that intake process. So multi-skilled team of registered mental health professionals at Teladoc, supervised by their medical teams. And as I said, the common mild to moderate conditions, these include, but they're not limited to, anxiety, depression, stress, obsessive compulsive behaviors, etc., disorders. Just a very quick summary of mental health. So there's the structured support, so access up to the 10 structured therapy sessions subject to an assessment. There's also a 24/7 helpline. So we call that in the moment support, and that's delivered by clinicians, and they can provide guidance and support without the need for an assessment. So where our structured support is not suited to that individual's needs, this helpline remains a facility that can be used to provide guidance. Which is great. A unique aspect of this service, a lot of these kind of EAP services, they don't support children through mental health counselling, but for children under 18, we can provide, or Teladoc will provide, a single extended session of 60 to 90 minutes with a child psychologist. And really that's aimed at formulating what we'd call a support framework, including any self-help material, any recommended approaches to use going forward, and signposting any further help as well. So that's the unique aspect in terms of child support. And actually last year we delivered over 200 appointments to children as well. In terms of healthy living, I think it's really important that we do get the everyday basics right to maintain our mental health and take some responsibility for building our own resilience. And that comes naturally to some people, certainly not to all of us. And that's where We Care can really help. So we can get help in that. What I would call the everyday basics of a good diet, keeping and getting fit through to, as this screen says, you get access to a qualified nutritionist, supporting bespoke dietary requirements to fit your lifestyle, etc. And it's all wrapped up in the We Care app. There's an unlimited number of appointments, so you can book an appointment with a nutritionist at any point through the app, and you can keep going back and asking for that support. There's also been some enhancements recently, so there's always been a Get Fit program, but it's been customized a bit more bespoke. So you get a tailored plan, and that's focused on illness prevention and also developing some long-term healthy habits. You can see some of the screen grabs there. It's pretty straightforward. There's flexible in the duration, so you can choose between a 4-week or an 8-week blended program. And these plans, both the fitness and the nutrition, they've been developed by sports medicine doctors and nutritionists. And as I said, that there's ongoing support, access to a dedicated nutritionist for advice throughout the program. But that is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. The Get Fit program, all available with the app. So as you could see from the screen grabs earlier, there's some video explainers for different exercises, so you can engage a bit more easily with the program on a daily basis. And it's also got like a daily menu with recipes and instructions included for the members to follow. And you can also book the consultation with the nutritionist in the app as well. Now, moving on. So if you've got the group life assurance policy, which you all have, you've got access to all those services. If you select the critical illness policy, there's a couple of extra services that are available which are aligned to that policy. So there's 2 pathways I'm going to cover off. The first one is the virtual physio, which is brand new. So again, it's available to all employees who've taken out the critical illness policy and your immediate family and dependent children as well. So this provides a video consultation and an assessment from a chartered physio, and that'll to ensure your suitability and safety and to give an appropriate diagnosis. And then they will formulate some goals for you on the back of that initial consultation and a rehab plan. And then on the back of that, you'll get access to this is an AI-driven rehab exercise program. Again, that'll be tailored to your specific need following that assessment. So that I've used it myself. So you get a video and it's got kind of like dots on there you have to follow, and you'll be in front of a screen and it'll feedback as to whether you're doing the exercises correctly. So again, key features: chartered physio, video consultation assessment, a tailored AI-driven rehab program. Then you get real-time visual and audio exercise feedback to you through that program as well. And you'd also get physio feedback on the performance of that exercise program, how you're performing, and of the treatment plan as well. So you'd be entitled to 1 video consultation with physio, and then that associated rehab program as well on the back of that, and the follow-up thereafter. So if you select the critical illness policy, you get access to virtual physio too. And also you get access to our financial and legal support as well. So again, we do know financial wellbeing is a bit of an issue in the UK, and it can really contribute to people's mental ill health, and they can escalate into serious issues if not dealt with. So this service, it ranges from tips on how to budget and on how to best navigate making the most of your workplace benefits. And that advice comes from a qualified advisor who can really help you reduce bills, which is really great given the cost of living issues we're all going through at the moment. You'll also have access to qualified solicitors and legal professionals. And again, that's on the other end of the phone. And they'll be able to give you guidance and support on a number of matters. So from divorce, property law, consumer disputes, etc. So accessing We Care is really easy. So all this comes into play from January. So we're talking in advance. So you just need to download the app from the App Store or Google Play. You just need to create your profile and your unique access code. So if you've just got the group life policy, which everybody has, it's the first access code at the top, and the G99499 with the suffix of 0126. If you do select the critical illness policy throughout this window, then from January you can use the access code below, which is the A238681, and that will give you access to all the services within the group life policy, but also the virtual physio, the second medical opinion service, and the financial wellbeing services as well. So really important that you're aware that you do have access to those extra services if you do select the critical illness policy. So you would use a different access code because that drives the access need for that individual. Any questions on the back of after the presentation, just please feed them back, and I will be happy to answer in due course. Now, just to finish off, there's one final support service available for you and your family. So this is My Strength, is provided by Teladoc, who provide weekend best doctors, etc. So basically, this is it's very similar to, it's a mindfulness wellbeing app, very similar to ones that you've probably heard of, such as Headspace, Calm and Breathe. So it helps you and your family engage with mindfulness without necessarily having to ask for help or get counselling. It's really useful to use alongside WeCare. So if you're waiting for counselling, in between counselling, or if you don't actually want to be formally counselled, you can actually browse this app for some support as well. As you can see from the screen grabs, it's available via the app or a browser. And the important thing is you can use it in your own time to fit into your busy day. And again, you don't have to be making a claim to use this. You can use it at any point. What you get, so the content's personalised. It's a really short registration process. It only takes a minute, and then you'll get access to lots and lots of resources. So videos, articles, exercises, all designed to support your own well-being. And the important thing is it'll be bespoke to how you've interacted with the app. So you'll put in your interests, etc. outset, and that the app will react to that to make sure the content's relevant to you. You'll also get assigned to a guide at outset as well. So that's a real person, again, not a bot. It's a qualified counsellor who works for Teladoc, same individuals who support the counselling through WeCare. And you can ask individual questions and you'll get a reply within 24 hours, but often sooner. And they can signpost resources and answer any content-related questions, etc. You can set goals, exercise goals, diet goals through the app as well, and track those. And if you do that, the important thing is that the app stays relevant to you and reacts to that. So it's not a static video library like a lot of these support services can be. Access 24/7. Importantly, you can fit it into your busy day. So be that 5 minutes pre or post school run, or before an anxious event, or letting it help at night to help you unwind. And actually, the MI we get back from Teladoc shows that most people interact with My Strength around about how to get a decent night's sleep. In terms of how to access it, very similar to WeCare, it's a QR download, App Store or Google Play. It's available now, so the code is G99499 right now if you want to use it and have a play around with it. From January, that access code will refresh to the G99499 with a suffix of 0126. So again, remember, it's available for you and also members of your immediate family and children up to the age of 16 as well. Okay, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I am aware I've shared a lot of information over a short period of time, but yeah, I'm really pleased you were able to spare the time this morning and have such a good turnout. So thank you very much.
Scott, on behalf of everyone here at Danfoss, thank you for sharing this information. The presentation was very informative. Could I ask that you share the slides from the presentation with me, and then we can distribute them?
Yes, of course, I'll do that.